Hi everyone. It's Easter Sunday. I'm very excited to talk about this week. I have a lot to say about this week and how it all went. I'll just start by saying I had so much I wanted to get into about this week that I've written. Hold on. One sec. I've written an entire page in my journal about all the notes that I want to get into today because I just felt like all week as I was doing tasks and I was thinking about some of the attitude and mindset shifts I'm trying to implement this week, all I could think about is just all the things I wanted to say in my video. Anyways, I was really disappointed with last week's video for many reasons, but the main reason is I felt like I just spent 7 minutes basically talking my way around the fact that I just wasn't really that committed. That video should have been even shorter than it was. And I don't want to do that again. I want this video to be much more exciting. I have a lot I want to get into this week, fortunately. I'd like to get into how some of these things made me feel, what they made me think of, how they relate to my life and what I'm going through in my recovery. Oh my God. Okay, guess what? Unrelated, but this week we had to buy, just as part of our tasks, we had to buy a little treat, a childhood treat for ourselves, and look at what I got. Look at what I got. Man, I was addicted to these as a kid. Fucking Gushers, dude. Oh my God. I actually wanted to save a few so I could just snack away during my video. Hang on. Fuck yes. Oh, dude, these are so good. Okay. Where was I? This week. Maybe I should stop chewing. I don't think I've really thought this through. Whatever, though. I'm actually going to quickly mention a big point of discussion in last week's chapter that I didn't really touch on. Last week was a lot about the people that you surround yourself with. So listening to that from last week and reflecting and thinking about who I do surround myself with in my life now, I'm really fortunate to have everyone in my life, everyone that's important to me, is unbelievably supportive, lift me up, keep me going, keep me in check. So I do want to comment on that quickly. Any of you that are watching, you know who you are. I love you. I appreciate you. Thank you. So yeah, just wanted to make a quick note on that. Sorry, real quick, something that I just thought was really interesting. In last week's chapter, I believe, Julia talks a lot about crazy makers and people that are really difficult. And she mentions that her ex-husband, who was a big name director, was a crazy maker. And then one day I was like, you know what? Who was her ex-husband? Who was this fucking guy that she always bashes? Because she does. And crazily enough, it's fucking Martin Scorsese. I wonder if he's still like that now. I can't, of all directors, I would not have guessed him. I don't know the man personally. Who knows what he's like? Who knows if he's still like that? But I just never would have guessed someone this chaotic would have such an insane catalog and be so revered in the industry. But I guess it is what it is, right? Ego sometimes drives people. But I never would have thought Martin Scorsese would be like that. I would have guessed maybe I shouldn't be saying shit like this publicly. Just thinking, as someone who wants to be a filmmaker, maybe I shouldn't be shit talking people that I might want to work with or meet at some point. Anyways, just thought that was interesting. Julia and Martin Scorsese used to be married, and he was crazy. Interesting. Let's get into this week. Finally, I apologize if this video is a little all over the place. I have so much to say. Things are kind of going to be kind of come and go a little bit. I do have a bit of structure here, but I can't promise that I'm going to stick to it. So I'm going to start by talking about anger. There's a section on this book that talks about listening to your anger, using it as fuel, using it for productivity, and not shutting it out. I do think I've been aware of that for a little while, fortunately. I think I've been pretty good in recent years about using anger productively, not letting it eat me up, not letting myself spiral the way that I used to as well. But at the same time, sorry, I want some more Gushers. I guess I don't actually have a whole lot to say now that I think about it, but really just, I guess maybe a reminder to myself when I do feel jealousy, which is something that does come up for me a fair bit, especially with peers of mine, which I'm going to get into in a little bit, but trying to use that fuel productively, creatively, remind myself that it's a roadmap. It shows you what you want or what you're lacking or a direction that you want to head in. So another main topic of this week was God and synchronicity. So the first time I ever attempted completing this book, I was pretty turned off by the mentions of God. And look, here's the thing. The use of the word God naturally can make people uncomfortable. There's religious context that you think of that it's a bit of a touchy word, right? Just by nature. And I struggled with that a little bit. And I think that was honestly part of why I had a hard time continuing, because I kind of thought like, oh, why are you pushing this Christian stuff on me? I'm not Christian, like leave me alone. What I'm realizing now, and what I should have done at the time, completely stripping away the religious context and thinking of it more so as an energy that can show you a way forward, and you can tap into that if you focus. This is a bit of a hard thing for me to wrap my head around and accept, if I'm being completely honest. Again, I'm not a very religious person. I do believe, getting a little vulnerable here, but I do believe in something. I feel a little uncomfortable using the word God, but I do believe that there is some kind of higher power, I guess. With that said, though, I do find that completely acting on blind faith and letting go of control is very difficult. Quick Gushers break. I'm sorry. Fuck, these are hard to open. These are for kids, man. Fuck. This happens every time. Maybe I should stop eating the Gushers. They keep distracting me. Yes, blind faith. Okay. So, blind faith. Acting in blind faith. I am finding it difficult to completely let go of control and have trust that things are going to work themselves out, and find a balance between taking action and letting go. I definitely feel like throughout a lot of my life, I've had a hard time letting go of things, not trying to be in control or feeling like I have to control as many aspects of my life as possible if I want to see results. And the thing is, when I do this, usually it leads to unhappiness or disappointment. And the best things that have happened in my life have come from chance or synchronicity, and I need to let go and believe that, and that's something I really want to try to work on, but it's difficult, and it's going to take some getting used to. Next, shame. Shame was a big topic this week, and honestly kind of resonated a fair bit, a lot more than I thought it would, because I do feel like in recent years I've become a lot more confident and comfortable calling myself an artist, being open with my wants, my goals. With that said, I'm going to talk a little bit about a current project that I'm working on. I've mentioned this in my last video. I don't really want to get too in depth about it. I still want to keep it kind of under wraps, but I'll mention a couple things because this is important, and I think this really ties in directly with shame. I have a friend who I like to share scripts with, and I find he gives really helpful feedback. And I also think he has a really, really solid understanding of storytelling, which admittedly, I don't really feel like I have. And this current project I have going, I shared a revised script. He read the first draft, gave me his notes, been chipping away on them. And I sent him a new draft not too long ago. And he felt that I hadn't really made that much improvements on the script. And admittedly, that was a little hard to hear. Like, man, I was fucking killing myself over this goddamn script. I was trying so hard to implement his notes and make it better and maintain a level of keeping the script the way that I liked it and keeping the ideas that I liked, but implementing a better story structure. I'll admit too, the script that I've written all came from just sitting down one day and being like, you know what, fuck it. I don't want to overthink the story. Just start spewing out words and see what comes out. Don't overthink. Don't get in your way. You can go back and edit things later. This is just supposed to be a way to get another film made as soon as I can. So with that said, this has been a tricky balance for me to strike because I want to get another film made soon, and I want to find the fun in being creative again, But at the same time, I do still want to make a good project. Why waste time and waste a bunch of other people's time on a project that has no legs, that isn't going to go anywhere? So this has been a tough thing for me to figure out. And admittedly, when I heard that he felt I hadn't improved my script at all, it still kind of suffers a lot of the same flaws that my first draft did. It has sort of shaken my confidence as a writer. I do feel like, well, fuck, like, do I really just not understand story structure still? I'm 24 years old. I've been doing this for a while now. Am I really just not there yet? If I'm not there yet, am I ever going to make it? And then just, it just keeps spiraling. So that's been difficult. And truth be told, I had another short script that I was working on in the fall that I wanted to get made near the end of last year. And when a short that I'd made earlier got rejected from a very small film festival, it shook me up a little bit, and it made me realize I got to work a lot harder if I want to go anywhere, if I want my work to be seen. And so that script that I was working on in the fall, I scrapped it. I thought, well, if they didn't like my first one, they're not going to like this one. I need to start completely fresh. And I realized that, and what I'm facing right now, is acting on shame. This is fear that I'm not going to make it, that I don't have anything good to say, that I don't have the skills required to be a professional, that what I'm chasing is unrealistic, and that I just don't have it to make it. So here's the thing. This is my dilemma right now. I don't know, should I just say fuck it and make the film, even though I know deep down that it could be better, that the story structure isn't really that strong, but it's fun. I like it. I think it's funny. And at the very least, I'm getting something made, and I should just focus on getting something made and learn along the way? Or should I try to hunker down and focus on making this better before we start shooting? I don't really know. I think there's a balance for me to strike, because truth be told, if I know that this project could be better before I shoot it and I don't listen to that, I'm going to be very disappointed once I get to the edit. But at the same time, I just want to have another film made. And I don't care, honestly. Like, I don't care if it's kind of shitty. I kind of want to just treat this project like a stepping stone to make something better later down the line. Regardless, I do feel like shame is motivating me still too much, especially on this project. Another thing I quickly want to mention too is shame being necessary. This is an idea that I was thinking about this week, because I think everyone as a child is the most shameless creative they will ever be. There is nothing getting in your way. And at some point, someone or something shakes your confidence and makes you and your creative process change. And I wonder if that's essential for all of us, because we all go through it. No one ever, I don't think ever, can be completely unchecked when they're becoming a creative. There's always something that's going to throw you off, shake your confidence, make you question your abilities. I think it's an important step in everyone's artistic process. It's just a question of how you react to it, if you let it fester, and how you use it. I think it also ties into anger too. I think shame can be used as fuel. And I think this is something I want to try to tap into, is like, how can I use this shame for good for myself? Because I think there is a way. So the next section that I want to get into of this chapter is growth. I have a lot to say about this one. I feel like this was probably the section of the chapter that spoke the most to me. There's a lot of mention of patience, of growth and maturity being messy and non-linear, and being kind to yourself. I'd like to touch on all of those things. The first thing being patience. This is something I've always struggled with, still struggle with. Oftentimes throughout the day, I'll just feel like, oh, why am I not here yet? Why haven't I done these things yet? Why am I not? Like, I get really hung up on all those things, on thoughts like that. And the thing that I need to remember and realize is achieving my goals and getting to where I want to be is going to take a really long time. I still have a lot of growing to do. And growing is messy. one thing that really resonated to me about this chapter was the mention of how, 1 week of progress is usually followed by a week of sluggishness. This can weigh on you a lot. Growth can be very exhausting, and you need to be patient with yourself and let yourself adjust and adapt. And that's something that I think I forget a lot of the time. I have this weird notion that once I figure my shit out, I'm going to be off to the races and all these things that I face won't be a problem anymore. That was a really good reminder that I just need to be patient. This is not going to change overnight, and there's nothing I can do about that. And it's going to be a lot easier for myself if I just sit and be patient. Another mention from that section of the book was being kind to yourself. The idea that, you should be taking care of yourself, being healthy, finding ways to have fun, checking in with yourself. These are all things that I want to work on and implement more in my life, and not always get so caught up in the work I have to do, but also just in living a good life, trying to find ways to enjoy myself, trying to find ways to take care of myself a little better, feel a little better just as a human. I've realized your goals and the person that you're trying to be can't exist without building a foundation. Or if you get there, you're going to crumble because you haven't built a foundation for yourself. You haven't loved yourself yet to love yourself as that person. And then, okay, Julia mentions how easy does it is your modus operandi. I hope I'm pronouncing that properly. And my understanding of that was kind of to take things slow and just trust that things will take their time and things will fall into place, which I am working on. Another interpretation, and one that I feel resonates with me a little more currently, is making creativity easy. That is a big goal for myself right now, honestly for the year, is finding ways to make creativity as easy as possible. These things that I want to try to make and do, not try to chase the things that I love, just try to make something. And trust that in putting in the work, putting in the time, making things that I know are shitty, I will just through that process learn eventually how to make things that are good. No one is going to start by being perfect or making anything really that good, so you may as well have fun and make something kind of dumb and goofy. And this ties into what I was talking about with my short film. It's important to me to just have a finished product and be okay with the fact that it might fail, that it might not be that good, that I might honestly be kind of embarrassed of it, but I need to let that go. And I need to remember that this is a necessary step for me to be better. I will say too, I mentioned earlier that I've been looking forward to making this video all week. And I think I'm looking forward to it so much because it's a creative outlet that is really easy. I just shoot a video, I talk into my fucking phone, I edited it together for maybe about an hour and I put it on YouTube. And it's a way of being creative that's easy, low commitment, and it's fun. And I'm starting to look forward to this. And I'm hoping that if I get into a rhythm with some other interests of mine, I'll feel the same way. So I'm going to talk about the tasks now. I'm going to say, again, I've hesitated talking about some of my tasks in previous videos because it can get very personal. There's only so much I really want to share about my personal life. But I do think it's important to start talking about tasks, what I've experienced, what I've thought about. So a big thing this week was getting in touch with your inner child. You think about your childhood, you think about who you are, what you used to do, what you used to be excited about. I mean, fuck. Just buying these gushers alone was like amazing this week. So just things like that, little things, little ways of getting in touch with your inner child. And I find there's a lot of creative inspiration I get from it too. Another interesting thing this week was talking about bad habits that we have in our lives. Noticeable ones, which I'm going to keep to myself. But the more interesting one to me was the subtle habits, the ones that you don't really know are bad, but are plaguing your life in some way. And I feel like the 3 subtle bad habits that I have in my life right now are prioritizing others over myself, overthinking how to have fun, and again, expectations for my work. I feel in a lot of ways if I have a choice between doing something for myself that I know will reward me, but it might be a bit of a more long time reward, or doing something for a friend or a loved one or something like that, and I know there'll be a much quicker positive reaction, I will choose that thing. Or sometimes even work. Like, if I know I can spend some time doing something to help another person or try to help another person over myself, I will still choose to do that. And I think I talked a little bit about that last week with working on some friends' projects. Again, grateful for the opportunity. If any of those friends are watching this video right now, please don't misconstrue my words. But I will pick those things over the more important priorities in my life that I want to work on and focus on, just because there's a much quicker short-term reward for doing that. And that's something I want to try to get over. Overthinking fun. This has honestly been a big thing since I turned 20, is like figuring out how to have fun on my own. That doesn't require work. That doesn't require trying to work on some kind of skill. It's just enjoying myself alone. And I'm hoping that in doing the artist dates, I can figure that out. Like playing, essentially, as an adult, by yourself. I don't know how anyone does it. I'm not entirely sure how to overcome this. Part of why I choose to do a lot of creative things in my free time is that I hope in doing so I'll find the fun and I'll enjoy it a little more. But frankly, it's still work. And it's still with the hope that I'm improving my skill. So I need to find some kind of outlet where I can just have fun by myself. It doesn't matter where I'm at in the process or my skill set towards it. It's just to enjoy myself. I don't really have anything like that in my life, and I want to figure out a way to do that. And again, I have touched on this, but there's expectations for my work. I find I compare myself a lot to my friends, to my peers, to people that I admire, professionals. And I think that's a big creativity killer. That's a big reason why I don't get things finished. Biggest thing right now is to learn how to have fun and let go of any fear of failure or making things that are embarrassing or are shitty. I need to be okay with that. I need to be fully okay with that. Okay, and then we'll get into the check-in. As per usual, each week, morning pages, artist date, and this week a lot on synchronicity. So my morning pages, better than last week. Didn't do them every day, but I did them 4 times this week. Now, this is something that's going to be a little bit difficult going forward. When I have work to do early or when I have responsibilities early in the morning, making time for morning pages is going to be tough. Part of the reason why that is this book is fucking huge. And doing 3 of these every morning usually takes me about an hour. That's a lot of fucking time. So when I have somewhere to be, I have somewhere to run off to. And as someone who is an insomniac and doesn't get a lot of sleep, doing this every morning is going to be difficult. But I'm going to try. Going to talk about my artist dates. This is an interesting one. So I decided, because I love acting, and I don't get a chance to act too much anymore, that I was going to do a monologue. I found a monologue online. I just memorized it. I made a video of me acting it out. I've always felt like you're supposed to fall in love with somebody better than you, who builds you up and makes you better. And you're not the person you would be without them, but hey, you know, the best part is you don't feel small, because you do the same for them. You make each other stronger. And I feel less than you. I feel stupid, uneducated, unrefined. I feel like I have to apologize for being with you. Why do you make me feel this way? When I know that I build you up and make you better than you are alone. I don't understand. Again, I want to be comfortable being vulnerable and just trying things and being okay with things being kind of shitty. I don't think that's the greatest monologue, anything like that, but it was fun to just act again and try something different. I do think going forward, I might start doing artist dates that are a little easier, a little more focused on the play element. Because again, doing that was still work, right? But I'm very glad that I did it. Synchronicity. I've had some interesting experiences this week. So one morning, I had some time to kill before my shift, and so I went to a nearby coffee shop, and I just started writing my morning pages, and this woman next to me asked me about what I was writing, and I just sort of told her I'm doing morning pages. It's from this book called The Artist's Way. She was a writer, a professional writer herself, and her and I went back and forth talking about writing and our processes and creativity and balancing that with your regular life and all of that stuff. It was really fun. It was really interesting. I've never had a stranger approach me like that or talk to me like that or like express that much interest in what I was doing. That was just really fun and a really cool way to just connect with a complete stranger in a way that I never have before. I will say too, I feel like living in the city that I live in, and also just in today's age, strangers don't talk to each other, and trying to meet people out in public is really difficult. And so just having a complete stranger strike up a conversation like that with me, and her and I talked for like an hour just about similar interests and stuff, was just such a crazy and fun experience that I never would have predicted. So that was awesome. So here's another thing. Because I've been sick, I'm a little strapped for cash at the moment, and I've mentioned that I did work on set before in the past, and that's sort of how that was a better way of supplementing income, because you can make a lot of money working on set. And I've been neglecting applying to work on set for most of this year so far. Admittedly, I'm just kind of over it. I don't really find a lot of value it gives to my life anymore. And while the pay is really nice, it is exhausting. The hours are long, and I don't enjoy it. And frankly, it's not really leading to anything that is that valuable for me. So I don't know. I've been a bit hesitant to go back into it and do it again, but I'm a little strapped for cash. And I just contacted one of the guys that I know that used to hire me on a movie that I worked on last year. And he got me some work on a commercial. Also, right now in my city, there is a massive decline in work opportunities right now. So the fact that I'm getting this at all is a huge blessing. While I am dreading it, I just see this as like, okay, it's work on set. Like, clearly this is leading me to something. I think this was meant to happen. I'm just going to try to go into it with a positive attitude and see if I get anything good from it. And then I think the biggest moment of synchronicity this week, I went out to my cousin's office because I'm hoping to use it as a location for that project that I'm working on. And I was a little nervous going into it. I wasn't sure where his head was at with everything, how comfortable he was with us using his office. And he is so cool with it. He is so chill about it all. The location is great. We're getting it for free, which is extremely hard to get. I'm very lucky that he's being so laid back about it all. And I think this would be a ridiculous opportunity to pass up on. So the fact that even though I'm in a bit of a weird stage with my script, the fact that I have people attached and a location that we can use now, this would be stupid to pass up on. And the fact that this has fallen into place has got me really excited about this project. So that's really great, and that's really exciting, and I can't wait to see where that goes. So that's been my biggest moment of synchronicity this week. And then I'll also just quickly say too, I'm feeling a lot better. I'm not as sick. There's no mono in my system. This has been a much more productive and happy week for me overall. I've had a fair bit of time just kind of having fun and seeing some friends and doing some interesting things this week. So things are looking up. This has been a really good week for me. This has been a really interesting week from the book, and I'm really excited to see where things go from here. And it's just kind of reinvigorated me to just keep being creative, keep following this book, and see where it leads me. And from there, I'm going to get into what next week looks like. So next week, I haven't read ahead yet. I don't know what's to come. I'm going to do that once I'm done this video. But one thing that I do know is that it's going to be a week of reading deprivation. My guess is that the reading deprivation is to prevent you from distracting yourself and filling your brain with information that prevents you from having time to just sit with yourself and your thoughts and reflect. So here's the thing. The Artist's Way, if I remember correctly, came out in the 90s. Pre-social media. So I think what I'm going to do is someone who doesn't really read much anyway, if I want to get the full effect of this reading deprivation, I need to cut out social media this week. No YouTube, no Instagram. That's really all I have, I guess. But I want to cut out any forms of distraction for myself that rewards short-term gratification. And I think social media is the big way to just cut that out. So I've deleted that from my phone. I'm going to see how it goes this week. It's going to be difficult because this is something I do a lot, is distract myself and check stupid shit on my phone. So I'm hoping to see some positive results from this. I will update on how that's all gone in the next video. And I'm excited. I'm excited to see where this goes. So going forward, I'm really going to try to be easy on myself, make the work easy, use my shame and anger as fuel, just try to focus on making creativity fun, and eliminate distractions as much as possible. And we'll see how it goes. And again, I'm really enjoying making these videos. I'm excited to see where they go. And I don't know if I have much else to say other than that. I've been yammering for quite a while. I'm going to stop now. Thank you for listening. I will see you next week with some updates. We'll see how it goes. Thank you. Bye.